All right guys, so welcome back to the channel. Today we're here at the shop taking a look at this 2019. This is a Jeep Latitude, I think a Cherokee. Let's move inside the vehicle. As you can see, I've already got the Autel connected. Now, I haven't scanned it yet. I kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of what was going on first. So apparently this vehicle was here a couple weeks ago for a repair. They did some valve cover gaskets. They did an oil pan gasket because it had some oil leaks. They said the customer took the vehicle, everything was fine, and about 200 miles later they had this issue where the power steering failure message was coming up on the instrument cluster, and then after that the vehicle became a no start. So right now it's a no crank, no start at all. And let me show you guys the cluster. We can straighten out the steering wheel. Now, first of all, if you guys take a look here on the cluster, what you'll notice is that the mileage is actually flashing. Now on these Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Fiat vehicles, whenever you see this right here, that generally means that there's a problem with the module on the proxy configuration that's not responding. So this may mean that we have a module offline. So I'm gonna turn the key off, and then I'm gonna turn it back on. And let's take a look here on the dash again, and you're gonna see some messages pop up. Again, we got that flashing, and here we have this service power steering message. We got a few more right there, electronic stability control, and I think that's it. But again, we do have a check engine light. It is flashing, but I'm mainly concerned about this right here. Now, like I said before, this is a no crank, no start. So let me show you guys. I'm gonna put my foot on the brake pedal. We're gonna try to crank it. You guys can see we got no response at all. So let's go ahead and move back over to our scan tool. Today we're going to be using my Autel Ultra, and as you can see, it's already detected the vehicle. So let's go ahead and hit diagnostic. Now, the fact that it was able to read the VIN number is a good sign. That does tell us that the ECM is online. I mean, it could be that it's pulling the VIN number from the BCM, but usually whenever you see the VIN number automatically populated with the scan tool, that generally means that the PCM is online. So let's go ahead and scan this thing. Now, this is a 2019, so likely it's a secured gateway. So I think we're gonna have to use auto auth to unlock the gateway. Yeah, it looks like it's unlocking it right now. I've already got this Autel registered with auto auth, so it should have no problem unlocking the gateway. And yeah, there we have it. Security gateway unlocked successfully. That's one of the great things I love about Autel. This is a company that you know is always going to be legit. You're not going to have to worry about things like compatibility issues with AutoAuth. Anyway, let's move into the topology. So here we have a breakdown of all of the modules and how they're laid out on the communication circuit. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and run a full fault scan. And just look how fast this thing can scan through all of the modules in the car. I mean, in the time it took me to say that, we literally scanned the entire vehicle. This tool is like stupid fast. Anyways, as you guys can see, we do have communication with several modules. Now, these modules that are grayed out doesn't always mean that there's a problem. It could just be that the module is not equipped on this vehicle. Certain vehicles have more options than other vehicles, and so you might see some of these modules grayed out. Now, obviously, you should be worried if you see a module that should be on any vehicle, like let's say the instrument cluster. Obviously, every vehicle is going to have the instrument cluster, so you should always have communication with the module like that. But other things like the amplifier and these DTV, stuff like that, you're not always going to have that on every model. So again, we do have several codes here. Now, what I want to do before I move on is I'm going to go ahead and generate a report. And here's the report that we generated. Now, if we scroll down here, you can see it gives us kind of a breakdown. In the ECM, we got 7 fault codes. The TCM, we got 1. ABS, we got 1. In the restraint control module, we got 1. In the instrument cluster, we got 1. In the body control module, we have 5. And if we scroll down further here, it's going to give us the actual codes. So in the ECM, our 7 codes are going to be this UO131, lost communication with power steering control module. This UO418, implausible data received from brake system control module. 443, evap purge control circuit. U110A, lost communication with the SCM. We have a PO622, generator field control circuit open. And we have these 2 codes, this P141C and P141B, starter control 1 and 2. Now, I will mention, I think I forgot to mention actually, that the shop replaced the starter motor because they thought that there was an issue with the starter circuit. So I know they mentioned that they were doing some testing with the relay, pulling relays out, and I think they replaced the starter relay 1 and 2. So I wonder if these 2 codes were set whenever they were doing that testing. So I'm not going to focus too much on those codes right there. Now, if we look at the TCM, you can see we have this UO131, lost communication with the power steering control module. This kind of harkens back to what we saw over here, where we had lost communication with the power steering control module in the ECM. And then if we come down here to the ABS, again, lost communication with the power steering control module. So this looks to be a reoccurring theme here. In the airbag or occupant restraint control module, we got lost communication with the electric power steering control module. Again, power steering. In the instrument panel, same thing, power steering control module, lost communication. Hang on a second, I'm getting a phone call. All right, sorry about that, guys. I had to take that phone call. Anyway, so back over to the scan tool. Again, in the BCM, you can see we got those starter control relay circuit codes. I'm not gonna worry about those. We do have this ECU configuration mismatch, not configured. Now, this here is likely the reason why the mileage is flashing. Again, the proxy configuration is stored in the BCM, and whenever you have a module that's offline, you're going to lose that proxy configuration, and so you're going to have a code like this telling you that there's a mismatch in the configuration. So again, this I believe is coming up because we've lost communication with the power steering control module, and again, the BCM is even saying we lost communication with the power steering control module. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and just for record keeping purposes, I always like to email a copy of this to myself. Just send email. Okay, so let's back out of here and move back over to the topology map. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this EPS module right there is going to be our electronic power steering. Let's click on it. So yeah, electronic power steering modules, you can see it's not communicating. Even if we try to go into the module, you're going to see that the device is unable to communicate with the control module. So there's the main thing we want to focus on. We don't have communication with the power steering control module. Now, whether or not the communication issue with the power steering control module can cause a no crank, no start like we're experiencing right now, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm definitely going to focus more on solving this issue with the power steering control module, because I'm pretty sure if we fix this issue, we're going to be able to fix this vehicle. All right, guys, so here we are inside the truck. I've got the service information pulled up, and what we're looking at here is the wiring diagram for the power steering control module. This is actually a very, very simple circuit, and the whole diagram fits on one page. Now, for those of you who've been following the channel for long enough, you know what's next. We're going to be checking powers and grounds. Whenever we have a module that's not communicating, we need to verify whether or not that module is getting everything that it needs in order to function properly. Does it have its main battery power source? Does it have the ignition power source, the one that wakes it up? Does it have a good ground that can handle a load? Those are the three main things that we need to check and verify before we can go any further. Now, if we don't find any problems there with the powers and the grounds, we're going to need to check our communication lines. So again, this is the diagram for the EPS module, or the electronic power steering. Down here you can see we have our EPS module as noted right here. And if we look at pin number 2, you can see we have our fused battery power source. Now that's going to be coming from this array fuse, which is fuse number 1. It's a 70 amp fuse located in the power distribution module. Now this is a main battery power source, meaning that it's hot at all times. So whether the key is on or off, we should always have power here at the pin 2. Now over here on pin number 6, you can see we have our fused ignition switch or run start signal. So this is going to be the power coming from this fuse number 30, which is a 10 amp fuse, also located in the same power distribution center. Now this fuse is only going to be hot with the key in the on position. And that's basically it for our main powers. And our ground, we only have one. There's a ground on pin number 1, and that ground location G907A, I've already located it. Let me show you guys where it's at. So this is the view of the location of our ground G907A. As you can see, it's pointing right here, right above our transmission. So if you guys take a look right here, you can see this is the engine block and this is our transmission. So we need to verify that this ground is good. It's not loose, it's not corroded. And we need to check our 2 fuses located in this front fuse box. All right, so back over at the vehicle and under the hood, here we have located the fuse box. Now the fuse box does have this lid right here. And on the lid, it gives you pretty much a layout of everything in the fuse box. These are gonna be our array fuses. So this is gonna be the fuse number 1, which is the one that goes to our EPS module. And right over here is our fuse 30, this 10 amp fuse. So this one is gonna be hot with the key on, and this one should be hot all the time. As you guys can see, I've got my test light connected to the battery positive, or excuse me, the battery ground. And we're gonna take this end, we're gonna touch it to the positive. As you guys can see, our test light lights up nice and bright. So we're gonna start by touching this cable right here. Again, this is the fuse that feeds the power to the EPS module. And as you guys can see, the test light lights up nice and brightly. Now while we're at it, let's just go ahead and check the rest of these. Okay, so these are all good. Now let's go ahead and check this fuse number 30. But for that, we need to turn the key on. Let's just reach in and turn the key to the on position. And we're gonna go ahead and test this fuse. Now this is actually a 3-legged fuse. So there's 3 little contact points up here on the top of the fuse. So I'm gonna start by touching it here. Lights up nice and brightly. We're gonna check the next one. And finally the third one. Test light lights up. Okay, so it looks like our main power sources to the EPS module are good here. I guess the next thing we can do is check the ground. Should be located right up here. Yeah, I can see it, it's right there. Let me see if I can show you guys. All right, so the ground cable is located right there. You guys can see it's held on by 1 nut. Let me go ahead and see if it's nice and tight. And as you guys can see, when I move this cable, it's not going anywhere. So this thing is nice and tight. The ground point doesn't look corroded. It's not loose, so I guess we could test it with a test light. Now for that, we're gonna have to move our test light lead over to the positive. Now whenever we touch a ground, we should light. So let's go ahead and touch it down here. Sorry, I know that might be kind of hard to see, but we're just gonna touch it right here. And our light is not lighting. Maybe we're not getting a good contact there. Let me try to scrape it a little bit. No, our test light is not lighting. Let me try to get down in here and check it a little bit better. Again, I'm just going to kind of scrape the side of this nut right here and this terminal eyelet, and I'm just going to try to get a good contact point. Okay guys, so I scraped through it. You can see that nice fresh metal right there, and I'm touching it with the test light. However, our test light is not lighting. Well, that's interesting. Let's check the block ground. All right, so I'm touching the cylinder head with the test light, and as you guys can see, the test light is not lighting. That is not good. And I think that might be where our problem is. We don't have a block ground. Do we have a body ground? Let's touch this bolt right here on the body. Yep, as you guys can see, the test light lights up nice and bright with the body ground, but it doesn't light up at all with the block ground. So that's where our problem is. Where is the block ground for this thing? All right guys, so we're on the hunt for a block ground. I'm gonna take my Milwaukee light. Nice thing about this light is it's got a really strong magnet on it. And I'm just gonna be kind of looking around here, looking to see where our block ground is. I can see we got some coolant back there, so I don't know if that's residual from the repair or if that's another leak, but not really what I'm worried about right now. All right guys, so either I'm blind or I just can't seem to find where this block ground is located. So I think I'm just gonna check the service data and see if we can find out where it is. All right guys, so we're back in the back cave and I have located the main block ground. So as you guys can see, this is our battery right here and this is our negative terminal, and the cable from the negative terminal actually bolts here to the frame, and then it looks like from the frame there's another cable that extends to the side of the transmission. So this is going to be our main ground, and according to this it looks like it's bolted to the side of the transmission. So let's move back over to the vehicle and see if we can locate it. All right, so back over at the vehicle now. We don't have a visual on that battery cable because it's underneath the battery tray. As you guys can see, this is the negative battery cable. It goes down to the frame down there, and then from there it extends down to the side of the transmission. Now I can't see the side of the transmission from over here either, so I think what I may have to do is go underneath down here and see if I can get a visual from underneath. All right guys, so there's not a lot of space under here. In fact, I can't even really stick my head under here. I'm looking at what you guys are looking at. I'm looking at the camera on my phone, so that's the only way I'm able to see. So I'm just going to kind of look around and see where our cable is. Again, it should be bolted to the side of the transmission. So let's take a closer look over here. I'm not sure what's going on because I actually don't see anything. There's that one bolt right there. Oh, let me try to squeeze under here. Okay, so we got this bolt right here. What is that for? Is that what I think it is? Is that where our block ground cable is supposed to be? Is this the terminal right there for the cable? I mean, I really don't see anything else up here. That's got to be it right there. Then where's the cable at? Oh, check it out guys. I found our problem. This cable snapped. Or excuse me, the cable didn't snap, but the terminal snapped. Check it out. That is part of that right there. Oop, you guys see that spark? Yeah. So that's our ground cable right there. We need to fix this terminal. Let's see what we can do about that. All right guys, so fast forward. Now the shop is going to go ahead and order the ground cable for this, but in the meantime, just to remove any doubt, I'm going to go ahead and run a jumper cable. So you guys can see right now, I've got the clamp right here on one of the transmission bolts, and on the other end, I'm just going to hook it to the battery negative. Make sure we got a good bite. Then we're going to see if this thing starts. All right, so key in the ignition on. Let's see if it cranks. Voila, and there you have it guys. The engine is running, and if you take a look at the cluster, you can see our mileage is no longer flashing, meaning that our EPS is back online. Our proxy configuration is good. Once they replace this battery cable, that's going to be a fix. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.